All right, so coming off the heels of When We Were Young over the weekend and Sick New World announcing their lineup yesterday, DWP, Danny Wimmer Presents, the biggest rock festival organizer in the country, is starting to have more dominoes fall for their festivals. Sonic Temple confirmed today that they are going to be revealing their full lineup starting next Tuesday, October 28th at 12 o'clock. They've been doing some intermittent announcements so far. This is the full list of bands that have been revealed and confirmed for the festival. So you have My Chemical Romance, you have Bring Me the Horizon as two of your headliners. My Chemical Romance is going to be doing Thursday. I believe Bring Me the Horizon is going to be doing Saturday. So you have your Friday and Sunday headliners still left to be revealed. And you got some decent bands who have also been revealed here. Nothing super high profile, nobody who's going to close out second main or probably even go on before Bring Me the Horizon. Actually, that's a lie because Motionless in White is probably going to go on right before Bring Me the Horizon. You got some decent draws in here. Some bands that have been around for a long time and some newer bands too. You got like the newer bands got like Electric Callboy, like Motionless in White. And then going back, further, you got Stone Temple Pilots that have been around for a really long time. POD Saliva, early 2000 staples. You got some more kind of underground, or I should say like on the emo side of Hawthorne Heights and Census Fail have been around for a long time. You got Shiados continuing their comeback tour. So there's a decent amount of bands, good variety, I think, that has been revealed so far. I also want to talk about their Twin Festival. Welcome to Rockville. They've been doing the same thing. This is actually the first year that they have been doing lineup announcements ahead of time. They've done headliners and in years past. So I've been to this festival every year that it has been at the Daytona International Speedway. It used to be in Jacksonville. They moved it after COVID. It was actually supposed to be in 2020 to do Metallica for 2 nights, and then it got delayed to 2021. Having been here every year, the only year I can really remember headliners being announced super far ahead of time was when we were at 2021 and they were trying to get people to buy for 2022 because it was only a 6-month layoff. So every day they would reveal the headliner for the upcoming May date. So that was really cool. And they've done headliner type stuff before that too, but they've never done like Sonic Temple started doing this last year. Blue Ridge Rock Fest, when they were still around, they were doing these lineup reveals where you would get a few artists every day or an artist every day or something like that. But Rockville has been experiencing some unique issues that Sonic Temple has not encountered with this method of trying to do these announcements. So on your screen right now, well, you can't really see it because my camera's in the way of a lot of it, but you can see Warped Tour Orlando. So back when this festival was revealed in, I think it was December of last year, something like that. All these artists right here right now were like grayed out. There's a ton of them that were blurred out. You couldn't see. They only revealed about half the lineup to start. So actually, it looks like it was in March. I was able to find one of the initial announcements that was here. You can see there is all these names that were blurred out, and that's because it was revealed in March. Rockville's in May. So you have this whole lineup, and you had all these bands that were missing. Now it's kind of going in reverse. At least that's the speculation, which is Warped is in November. It's November 15th and 16th of next month. So Sonic Temple, which actually in years past was before Rockville, as you can see right here. This is last year's. It was May 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th. And Rockville of last year was May 15th, 16th, 17th, and 18th. And then this year, they flipped dates. So Rockville is the 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th. And then Sonic Temple is 14, 15, 16, 17. So even though Sonic Temple is actually second this year, they're getting their lineup first. Now, there's also another problem that Warped Tour has been causing them, and this is fully self-inflicted, but it's kind of funny, but it also ties into just giving you as much information as possible about what we know about this festival so far. So if you go on to Welcome to Rockville's Facebook page, you can see this announcement is posted. Looks completely normal. There's nothing, that would set off any alarm bells. If you didn't know that this was the original way that it was posted, with Godsmack up top as well, and ahead of Seven Dust. It's also, the design on this is like completely different. And this was posted by one of the bands that's here. So it's just really funny because Godsmack actually isn't even on Warped Tour, so them being removed is really odd. It's weird that they would send this promotional image to one of the bands. I had to imagine that there was a mix-up of some kind on the social team, but again, this is what they actually posted. Just removed Godsmack. The Welcome to Rockville logo is up at the top again. This is still up on their Facebook page right now. This is where I'm pulling up from. I'm on Facebook. So moving on to the second announcement, because there's been 3. The second announcement, which was posted on October 15th, you got Lorna Shore Whitechapel. This is a deathcore. There's a lot of deathcore bands. So this is kind of more, genre focused, right? Cool. Cater to, your more hardcore audience. Because I know there's a lot of different types of people who go to this festival. A lot of people who go for specific genres. They do a really good job of kind of the way that they set up their stages, trying to keep artists, there's kind of similar sounds near each other, so you don't have this weird mismatch where you're running across and you got bands that are conflicting with each other that people are going to generally be fans of both. But interestingly, also here, this was not the original version of this post, because this is how it looked originally. There's a completely different artist here where Lorna Shore is on the one that's up now. You got Slaughter to Prevail. And if you check out Warped Tour, they are somewhere right here. I think you can see my mouse. Yeah, you can't see my mouse. Yeah, they're right here. So, don't know who screwed that up. Don't know why there wouldn't be a check in place. And also, and if you don't understand the significance of why Warped Tour is that way, I can just break it down for you real quick. When these bands book these festival appearances or even book their own tour dates, they generally sign agreements that say that they can't play within a certain radius. It's kind of spotty as far as where that actually extends to, because I've seen it where it doesn't affect certain markets and does affect others, but Daytona is within an hour of Orlando. So basically, if you're playing anywhere in Orlando, it's probably almost a guarantee. Miami gets a little bit stingy, and then Tampa, where I live, it's not at all. Like they've had it to where they announce shows. Like, perfect example, last year when Pierce the Veil toured, they announced their tour date here on the same day that they were revealed that they were going to be at Rockville. But then when they revealed the second leg of their tour, which was a couple months after, I think, then it had dates for West Palm Beach and Orlando. So they weren't able to make it on the first round of touring because they were playing Rockville, but they still played within the same year, because you can announce the artist is going to be there after the performance takes place. The interesting thing, though, is usually this is done to not drive ticket sales away. It would be like if Rockville, let's say, or Vans or Warped Tour was trying to get somebody to go to Warped Tour, and your big linchpin was Slaughter to Prevail. You already have Rockville tickets. You go to Rockville every year, and you saw Slaughter to Prevail was also going to be there. Oh, well, I'm not going to buy Warped Tour tickets now. The funny thing is, Warped Tour is already sold out. So I just find it really funny that these artists are not having these issues. The other thing that I find really funny, too, I'm going to pull up another artist, and we'll talk about it in just a second. Motionless in White, they're on tour with Bring Me the Horizon next year. They are not on the list if you go on Daytona's website, but they were announced previously. The announcement was deleted. If you go on their own website, and keep in mind, the artist is the one signing these agreements that say they can't promote this date. If you scroll down to May 9th, which is the same day Bring Me the Horizon's playing, you can see it says Welcome to Rockville 2026. So it's just really funny that these radius clauses are coming into play for an event that's already sold out, and not any risk of it's kind of swaying fans with this announcement. If you look here too, this is the most recent announcement. This is from Monday. This is completely normal. This is as it was posted. No leaks associated with this whatsoever. So Offspring, Rise Against, Atreyu, Ataris. For me, that's a 4 for 4. I'm going to try and catch all those bands if I can. There is also pretty heavy rumors. It's worth discussing that Electric Callboy is going to be at the festival. They have DWP ties. They're already playing at Sonic Temple. They have a Tampa date, but no other Florida dates. And if you notice, this is a detail I picked up on as well. There's this empty spot right here. Now, typically when you're designing a tour poster, you don't want it to look like this. So I don't know if this is too broad of an assumption, but I'm assuming they're going to add this date about here and shift the rest of these down. Maybe they could have left the middle column open, but I guess that this is moot at that point. Now, the main thing that people are pointing out here is there's an 11-day gap. There's a couple things that still might go against this. Obviously, one, going from Chicago to Florida, back to Montreal. Now, there is an 11-day gap. It's not the worst drive, necessarily. You can probably make it in about a day. But it is a little taxing, especially if you're a band like Electric Callboy. They're not going to be, I don't think, massive. They're not like a headliner or anything like that. So I imagine there's a little bit of incentive maybe coming from DWP. Maybe they get an increased booking fee or something like that. They are also going in and out of the country. But now that I looked at it, they're going from Toronto to Columbus, which obviously is not as much of a drive. That's only like a, 8 probably hour drive, maybe a little bit longer. But, you're coming out of one country one night to play another festival the next day. You have 11 days to do the same thing. So I think you can see them maybe playing like Thursday, Friday, and then, leave, turn around, go to Montreal. Because if they're playing Sonic Temple anyway. I want to rewind a little bit to the My Chemical Romance initial announcement as well. This was announced Actually, was posted on the 24th by Welcome to Rockville, but I believe this was actually revealed on the 22nd because My Chemical Romance made their tour announcement on the 22nd. But this is the 2026 run for My Chemical Romance. It's a little bit hard to see right here. I'm going to zoom in. So as you can see right here, they have Sunday, they're going to be playing Welcome to Rockville, and then Sonic Temple is going to be on Thursday. Now, when this was first announced, the admins and the social media for Welcome to Rockville and Sonic Temple were being kind of vague about when they were playing. They wouldn't officially say anything, or they would tell you go check the artist announcements. So obviously the artists have it listed here. If you go to My Chemical Romance's website, also listed here as being the 10th and the 14th. It kind of threw me off because I'm not used to Rockville being before Sonic Temple. It's going to be an adjustment for me, a longtime follower of these festivals. But the funny thing is, if you go onto their website now and look at the lineups, one, they're positioned for Thursday and Sunday. And then the rest of these are just here, I guess, in order of prominence. I'm not 100% sure. But if you click on the individual days, it'll tell you. Or sorry, I clicked Thursday thinking that it was wrong. Or thinking that it was Sonic Temple. But Bring Me the Horizon. Now, funny thing, Bring Me the Horizon is here. And all their supporting acts are here. But guess who's not here? Motionless in White. So that'll probably be updated again. I want to talk about Bring Me the Horizon real quick because I already brought up Motionless in White. This is the announcement that was posted for their reveal as headliners for Louder Than Life. They did Louder Than Life this year for Sonic Temple and for Welcome to Rockville. And it just says Welcome to Rockville on welcometo-rockville.com. And it says they're bringing all these artists with them. So this was officially posted by Bring Me the Horizon. It was also posted by Welcome to Rockville, but they removed it. Both these headliners have actually been somewhat controversial. If you take a look at the comments on any social media for the My Chemical Romance announcement, they are not going over well. It's a very polarizing response. One, I think that most of the people who typically go to these festivals are not the type of people who are listening to My Chemical Romance. I think the bigger discussion, the more interesting discussion for me has been about Bring Me the Horizon. Now, they've been on an ascending path, especially the last few years. Now, I have a weird kind of backstory with them because I've been listening to them since like 2011, 2012, and I've seen them live a bunch in many different venues. But even like in 2019, they toured, and they were playing a back lot of a club. It was just like an open parking lot that they set up a stage in, and there was probably like 700 people there. And this was like right after Amo had come out, so this was like they were a decent size then. But like I remember that was right before COVID, and then coming out of COVID, they did a tour, and they were touring like 10,000s and sold out like almost all the shows. So they've had a really ascendant rise in the last couple years, and obviously they did like a full size arena tour. It was only 10 shows, granted, but I think all of them sold out or had to have come close. I mean, none of them got canceled. Like, to me, that's a barometer of success at that point. That means your ticket sales weren't too low. But if you take a look last year, they played Aftershock and they played Louder Than Life. And they closed out, not only did they close out a night, they closed out the entire weekend, which to me, that's a pretty big spot. You know, there's been years past, like, if you want to hide your headliner, if you want to, you know, kind of be like, oh, we got a weaker headliner, you can put them on, like, a Friday or a Thursday. But they had them in the highest attended day of the week. They had them as the closers. These Saturday and Sunday are typically your days you want to have your stronger lineups because that's going to be where more people are going. So they've been kind of being pushed, and I like that. I actually, like, taking my own biases aside, I like that we're getting to the point where we can push these newer artists, and they're not really newer at this point, but the artists you're not used to seeing in these top spots. It was the same reason that I like the Aftershock. If you look at their lineup on Thursday, it's like all emo stuff. It's like, okay, you're really like you're theming it. You're catering to, you're bringing an audience. You know, you have, and then like this Friday, they did a really good job with the way that they set these lineups up, because like Thursday you got all emo on your like main two stages. You don't have very many emo bands the other days of the month, but it's something for people to go on Thursday and check out. Then Friday you got like your raging bands are together. You got Turnstile and Knock Loose. Like those are younger audiences, younger bands, and they're heavy. They got a lot of big, you know, people who want to mosh and like rage and all that. And then Deftones is obviously super big with the younger audience as well. And then on the other side, you got all your boomer bands. You got Bruce Dickinson and Kerry King. You got Lamb of God. You got Perfect Circle. You know, those are a little bit older of an audience, even though I think Deftones is like 10 years older than the Perfect Circle. Now, if you look at Louder Than Life's lineup, it's like even more radical, because like I actually am like surprised that there wasn't more discussion about this. Maybe I just don't follow it closely enough as I do some of these other festivals. But you know, your main stage, you got Slayer, you got Sevenfold, you got Deftones, you got Bring Me the Horizon. Obviously, Bring Me the Horizon is a little bit newer to the headlining scene, but, you know, Deftones, They haven't had. I don't think they headlined DWP, but they've become ascendant. They've been around a lot longer. I think more people who are older are at least familiar with them. Sevenfold and Slayer, they're kind of their signature at this point. I guess Slayer's only been back around for a couple years. Now, on the second main stage, you got Rob Zombie on the first night. But then your other three headliners are Sleep Token, Bad Omens, and Suicide Boys. Now, Suicide Boys are not even rock or metal. Like, they've had a habit of doing something like this in the past. Occasionally, like, we had Jelly Roll and we had Hardy at Welcome to Rockville, and that was cool. But you got Sleep Token and Bad Omens are basically, those are your next two up. Like, I wouldn't be surprised to see either of them headlining Welcome to Rockville or Sonic Temple this year. I think it was like a matter of time as soon as they started to ascend. They're like, they can draw any younger audience. We're starting to move more in that direction, I think. Even this last year, I think Bad Omens closed out at Rockville as well. So like Bad Omens and Pierce the Veil, like they closed out second stages. This is your spot where this is going to be your next group. Like, these are your next ups. You already pushed Bring Me the Horizon up. Now it's time that we're going to start pushing these Bad Omens, Pierce the Veil type bands. They have a younger audience that are the people that we need to be developing and getting out to these festivals and incentivizing, getting them in the ecosystem and keeping them out and going. So last thing I want to talk about, what we can expect from your headliners. So like I said, Bring Me the Horizon played Aftershock. They closed out. They played an hour and a half set. I have it pulled up just at Louder Than Life. They also played an hour and a half set as well. I have it pulled up right here. So this is kind of what you can expect to hear. This has been their tour set list for pretty much the whole tour. At their arena shows, I think they've added a couple of songs here or there, maybe off the new album, and done a couple swaps. And then I know at Louder Than Life they played their song that they have with Under Oath because they brought out Spencer Chamberlain. But pretty standard set list for them this is what you can expect. Now, you're not getting anything from pre-2012, whenever, I think Sempiternal came out in 2012, 2013. So you're not getting anything from their heavier era before that. But you get pretty even representation amongst most of their careers. I think there's only one song off Ammo. There's only a couple songs off Survival Horror. This is kind of the line where they can still maintain the level of quality for their live show. Because, it's harder when your songs aren't as heavy or a little bit more kind of even tempered. It's hard to keep up the energy, but they keep up a really good energy. They have a really good live show. Just talked about in my Sick New World video. They're one of the best live bands that we have right now, in my opinion. Even though I don't really like the set list. Like, honestly, if you ask me as a fan, as somebody who's seen them as much as I have, this is not the best representation of what their music is. But this is a pretty good live set list because it walks the line of songs that appeal to everybody. They're good for a festival setting, and you can still maintain a really, really high quality live show. Now, My Chemical Romance is the last one I'm going to talk about. This is their set list from Shaky Knees, and given that it has the same theming for this year's tour, this is the Black Parade 2026. We just came off the Black Parade 2025. This is their set list, essentially. It's just them playing the Black Parade, and then they have a short encore set with their big songs. I think, if you're doing a live show, you have to play I'm Not Okay, you kind of have to play Helen, and have to play Not and Out, at least two of the three. I think when We Were Young 2 years ago, this was kind of what set the precedent for doing the Black Parade tour, was When We Were Young 2024, where they had it set up so every artist did a full album. Now, not every artist actually ended up doing that, but that was the way it was intended to be. So this was their original performance. They played I'm Not Okay and Helena on night one, and then on the second night, I believe they played Na 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 and Helena. Yeah, so that was their encore. Let's compare that to a tour stop. This is their first show from the past tour, which was in Seattle. They obviously played the full of Black Parade, but then they have a full encore set where they play some of their bigger songs, some deeper cuts as well. I wouldn't expect that. They played at Shaky Knees for an hour and a half. This is an hour 45, but there's like a 15-minute intro. So, from 9:15 to 11 o'clock versus like the two and a half hours they played almost when I seen them. I'm going to be doing a full video on the lineup once it is announced next week, but for now, that's really all that we know about these two festivals, but I am excited as we continue to rev up and to get ready for next year's festival season. Time is going to fly by it's 6 months away before we really start to get into these festivals, but, we can still build hype, still talk about these. I'm excited to see what's going to happen. So let me know what your thoughts are so far down below, who you're excited to see, who you want to see, things like that. Follow our Instagram for more updates, and we'll see you for the next video.